I'm going to warn you, a few of the slides in my talk are a bit graphic, but it's hard not to be graphic when you're talking about trauma. And more specifically, motor vehicle accidents, which are rising in the developing world. And the reason I care about this is because most of the survivors of these accidents, they suffer from broken bones. And that's what my whole world revolves around, is broken bones. And if any of you have traveled in the developing world, you've seen images like this. And a broken bone doesn't seem like that big of a deal in the big scheme of things. But in the developing world, it means permanent disability. Not just for you, but for someone in their family who then has to take care of this person. The problem is you need surgery to take care of broken bones, which in the developing world is limited, if at all, there. It's complicated, it's technical, it involves high skills and a lot of resources. And in the public health world, this is not represented. It's very limited, and it's not deemed cost-effective, so it's essentially ignored. And my objective is to advocate that this should be included in the public health world. Well, what do you do if you know that the problems are going to keep coming and you have little resources? Well, you kind of act like MacGyver, which are a lot of the colleagues that I work with in the developing world. They're essentially like MacGyver, and they've developed some innovative solutions that I'm going to review over the next few slides. So traction is the go-to source of care when you have nothing to work with and you don't have a surgeon. The problem with traction is you're in a hospital bed rigged up to that for a few months. It's a big resource. So my colleagues in Washington designed an implant, which is very similar to what we use here in the United States. The issue with this implant is it doesn't need radiology to be guided down the shaft of the bone. And it's completely revolutionized the way you treat these injuries globally, allowing for the patient to be back on crutches and walking within a few weeks, as opposed to sitting in a hospital bed for months. Amputations are a major issue around the world, and the burden of these injuries is multiplied when you're in a developing country. There's a group in India called the Jar Per Foot group, and they have designed a prosthetic limb using primarily recycled tires. And this limb is not only durable and functional, it's also cost effective. Each one of those costs less than $100 to make. And the Jar Per Foot organization has camps where they fit hundreds of amputees globally. So infections and open wounds are another issue related to broken bones, and they magnify the complications. And here in the States, we treat them with a thing called a wound vac, which is essentially a sponge, some tubing, and negative pressure. Some guys in the Philippines took this technology and applied an aquarium pump and modified it, and through blogging have spread this out globally, all for the cost of about 40 bucks. Next slide is really graphic, so close your eyes if you're not into it. But it emphasizes the magnitude of this problem, which is that people are going to be disabled and dying more from broken bones than HIV, AIDS, TB, and malaria combined if nothing changes. I can't emphasize that enough. So my whole world revolves advocating for this issue. But we need to know more about it. We need to know why it's a problem. We need to know what resources are there, what's available to us, what technologies are appropriate in the developing world, and we need to try to empower the people on the ground dealing with these problems. A lot of it involves building up capacity, using the facilities and hospitals that are available, and help build that up. And the driving force behind this, in my world, and in my opinion, is because just because you broke your leg in Africa doesn't mean you should be permanently disabled. And healthcare is a human right. And to relay it back to, thank you for the clapping, I appreciate that. So to relay this back to something we can connect to here in the States is healthcare is becoming a topic on the news headlines. Healthcare reform is coming down the pipes, and the reality is we have the extreme opposite of what they have in the developing world. We have super advanced technology. But it comes at a cost, because an amputee here in the United States can become an Olympian. But in Africa, that doesn't happen. So what's the cost of this, and where do you mind the gap? Where do you improve the technology globally without sacrificing the care we all enjoy here in San Francisco? Well, I believe it's got to be distributed. You got to study it. You got to modify training and empower the people who are educated working with these injuries in these patients globally. And that's what my group, IGOT, represents, and we're based at San Francisco General Hospital. And we study these issues, we help advocate for a lot of the innovations I mentioned earlier, and we partner with academic institutions globally. So we're just down the road at San Francisco General Hospital. But the biggest plug, and if you want to learn more about what I do, what my colleagues do, and learn more about this issue, you can come hang out with us on Thursdays at the Homestead, which if you don't know it, it's on 19th and Folsom. You can share a pint and some peanuts and see some more graphic images. So thank you for your time.